Welcome to Attuned for Wholeness with me, Lisa Pinney. Life is full of uncertainty, confusion, and heartache. It gets hard to manage at times. This show will combine your lived experience with self-awareness and prayer to help you navigate through those tough times. You know, those ones that keep you from living in a place of true harmony, fully attuned to your body, your soul, and your spirit. Attunement is a spiritual practice of getting emotionally honest and connecting with God so we can recover from daily life and our souls can go back to a place of rest. Together, we'll move away from the unhealthy ways of coping that temporarily alleviate the pressure, but ultimately leave us feeling more disconnected from our true selves. Attuned for Wholeness with me, Lisa Pinney, starts now. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Snyder again today, my good friend. And we have been having great conversations. Today, we're going to have another one, and we're going to talk about the ways that we cope and where we run to when we need comfort. So, in truth, logically, we say, oh, I run to my husband for comfort. I run to God for comfort. But sometimes we run other places for comfort. So it might be that you run to the refrigerator for comfort. I say that because women, we're great at that. We have learned how to play nice and stuff our voices back down, so much so that we continue it by stuffing our faces with food. It's such a crazy dynamic. Stuff our voice and stuff with food. That's nuts. Got a bad marriage? Shut my mouth and fill it with food. It makes sense, but it's not great. And sometimes if you got a bad marriage, that's the only option you have, like in the immediate. So, but me, where do I run to for comfort? I want to be open with you. When I want comforted, I have learned how to ask for what I need. But before that, I wanted to be alone. My comfort spot was in pushing everyone away. It wasn't in drinking, although I've done that. And when I was young, it wasn't with drugs, although I did do that when I was young. I actually started getting high when I was about 13, stopped when I was about 21. I did not comfort myself with cigarettes. That's not true. I did, but then I stopped. But here's this thing. I needed something to do to cope. And if I couldn't drink or use drugs or smoke, I needed something. So I basically comforted myself by going away and being alone. I'd be so mad and I'd have to get away. But honestly, here's the crazy part. I got away from people to let them know they made me mad. And that brought me comfort. If you know I'm mad, maybe you won't do it again. If you know I'm mad, then you know I'm punishing you with my silence. And that brought me a twisted sense of comfort. I have since learned to communicate better. I have since recognized that I have poor impulse control. And I can run to the refrigerator just because a commercial came on. And I can run to the refrigerator because I'm like trying to figure something out and I don't have any answers. And so I just snack and snack and snack and snack. And now I'm a little bit older and that does not serve me well.
I hear you. It's interesting how we all have our stories, right? We all have things that we go to or run from. I was different. I stuffed my emotions because I did not know how to talk about them. I wouldn't even know how to recognize them. I just knew I was angry. That was like when I would, or frustrated would come out of my mouth. So sugar was a big one for me. I would stuff my emotions, so I would use sugar. And we always had sugar growing up. I mean, Little Debbie's were
Right.
all over the house. So the ho-hos and all of that. So that was the eating for me would be like the junk food. Like I'm a texture person, so I would like the chips or the sugar or both, right? It's going in there. But really my coping was to zone out. I would isolate. I would watch movies because I would try to escape my own problems by at least watching someone else and not have to realize. And you can always find someone else's story worse than yours to make you feel better. Oh, at least
Yeah.
my life's not as bad as that. But the reality was it didn't solve anything. It just prolonged it. And then I would also do the flip side. I was an athlete. So to make me feel like I had a sense of control or a sense of accomplishment, I would then go work out. I was a track athlete and a basketball player. So I could do those. And that gave me a sense of fulfillment that I could at least achieve something or do something better for myself. But still, it never helped me with processing that hurt or pain or difficult relationship. Then I ran to, early on, I ran to boys. I ran to alcohol, anything that I could do to try and feel valued or escaped my own thoughts and anguish. And, but withdrawing it all, with all that, my husband, he will fish. Like I can always tell when something's going on. He's like, I need to go fish, which is a form of running, but also a form of therapy, so to speak, now that we're older, but, and have worked through a lot of things. But um, I would also clean things. Like I would find like there's chaos going on in my life. And so I've got chaos in my house or my room. And I would always want to try and clean to make it feel better. Even I was trying to do an outward thing to make an inward experience that still didn't really work.
It helps though. I
It
mean,
does.
it does.
Yeah. But
But
now I get
then,
massage. That helps. That really
oh,
helps.
yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of like that one.
I have to have that. Yeah. Like regular massage, like every 2 weeks massage. Yeah.
I bet you your boys would say, oh, they zone out. So old people,
Mm.
we zoned out on the TV. Young people, they scroll and scroll and scroll. I scroll. If I'm bored, I'm going to scroll. If I am unable to solve a problem in my business, I'm going to scroll. And it's not like I'm looking for an answer, I'm just checking out.
Yeah.
So if I can take my mind offline for a little while, I could take my mind off my problem. And guess what? Sometimes I really need that.
Yeah. Well, you just triggered something in me that I get busy.
Mm.
I grew up with, we were busy and we were always busy. And my grandma would always say, if I'm busy, I don't have to think about things.
Mm. Oh,
And
so that one's generational.
that one's generational. And I learned that. And my mom was that way too. And, as we get older, we come out of that. But even when you talk about business, I will find myself, because I am alone so much, my husband travels every week. So I am by myself.
Mhm.
If I'm busy, I don't have to sit in that loneliness or whatever I'm going through. I feel like I'm accomplishing something, but I really am not doing anything tremendously well because I'm spread too far thin and I get overwhelmed and cortisol levels. So that's not healthy.
Well, I get that. We all get overwhelmed and it's not good, but it's the world we live in. And so we got to figure out how to deal with it. And for that reason, I am grateful for the internet because I have learned
Yes.
some amazing things
Yes.
that are really pretty holistic. I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, I used to be a girl, just give me a pill and I'll feel better. I want to lose 10 pounds, just give me a weight loss pill, any of that. But now I'm just sort of like, do I just really want to do that? No, maybe sometimes. I
That
still
doesn't work
find
for me
myself,
though.
I still find myself looking for a weight loss pill because I don't like the fact that I gained weight as I got older after I went through menopause.
Yeah.
But I got a little bit smarter and I just don't buy it all now. So I got a little bit more money in my pocket. But
Still doesn't solve anything.
no, and here's what I figured out. I had my identity rooted in being this tiny little thing. So I was tiny growing up. My nickname in my family was Skinny Minnie. And I was small, small, small for like until I went through menopause. And it slowly started. And I could manage it. But then COVID hit, and oh my.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we recognize the unhealthy strategies of avoidance or whatever it is, like having a hard conversation with a friend or a spouse? How do we step into that, recognizing, one, I'm running from something or running to something else? And then how do I step into it so it's a healthy way of managing stress or dealing with life's issues?
Well, sometimes it's a matter of pausing and thinking it through. And if you're a really left brain person, that's super helpful. Other times, you might have to talk to a friend and like say it out loud, so you get all the icky emotion out of it, and you can talk calmly.
Yeah.
And then still, it's just really comes down to, was there a time, Jesus, that you felt like I'm feeling now, and what did you do about it? And it will always trigger a portion of scripture, and it becomes a very humanized portion of scripture. Like when Jesus wept because of Lazarus. For when you're grieving and you keep telling yourself you shouldn't be this way, well, why not? Because Jesus grieved.
The shoulds. We get trapped with the shoulds.
Yeah, we sure do.
It's horrible.
And it's even that way in business. There's all these experts that tell you how you should do things. I'm not a big fan of it.
No. It takes God out of it.
It takes the fact, yes,
and
yes.
creates in your uniqueness out of it, and how God, wired you for that.
Mhm. And on top of that, what if you have a creative solution and it doesn't fit with some expert's opinion?
Right. Right.
I personally, I'm just like, I'm older. I don't got to follow an expert. I'm going to do me, and I'll take my chances.
Yeah. Well, that comes with maturity and also experience. But I always say faith takes risks. You have to be willing to take a risk. And when it's God breathed, or at least that impression that he's leading you to do it, it won't fail. It just was going to look different than you think it is. But there's that trust, and there's that partnering with his grace to do what you can't do in your own natural strength.
I've given that part a lot of thought. Like, if I would have followed all the experts, I would have spent a ton more money.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be any further, but I would be way more stressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at times it's like pretty stressful to do it the way I feel like God's asking me to do it, because that kicks up all the shoulds. Maybe I should pay attention to this person. Maybe they're right.
Right. Right.
But I have always found God to be faithful.
It's a great point, because I grew up hearing from my mom, you need to do it this way. Like, you need to. And there was something that would rise up in me and go, no, I don't. But yet I would follow the rules, or follow, there was stuff in me that would just follow that. But even with business, I always say, do the fruit test, meaning what's coming up when they say you should do it this way. What's your reaction? What's really going on? Are you having this internal struggle where I know in my head this makes sense, but I feel in my heart
It's not
Something's
for
off,
me.
right? And so the fruit of God is always going to be peace and joy. You won't
Mhm.
have the understanding of it per se. It's going to surpass that, but there will be that joy and peace and kind of that, okay, I can do this. I don't know what the next step is, but that's okay because he's going to direct my steps
Mhm.
versus that anxiety or I'm spinning. I need to do this. I need to put out a post. I need to. And that's where I would get. And it was so stressful. And I would be having nightmares about it or in my dreams. And I'm like, okay, this is not God. I have got to lay this down. And I would just literally put it in front of Jesus in my imagination at his
Mhm.
feet and say, here it is, Lord, it's yours.
Mhm.
What do
Mhm.
you want me to do with any of this? Because I'm just stewarding what you've put in me. And it's to bless others, not so I can have significance or whatever. So, yeah.
I totally feel you on that. I know that the times that made sense to me, felt right to me, I had greater peace. And the times that well, let's go back to posting where they say you have to post 3 times a day. I can't do that. Um, I can't do it because I'm not that organized.
Right.
I don't have that much to say.
Right.
And I don't want to be a social media marketer. If I did, I would have. I want to spend my time with people,
Yeah.
seeing them come alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fruit test, I learned this one early on. They always say, oh, it takes time for you to see results. You just need to spend a little bit more money on paid ads. If you're not seeing results now, you're not going to see them later. So I'm not giving you more money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I would have given them money, I promise you, I know myself well enough to know that I would have been anxious because I get anxious when I am out of alignment with my core values.
And recognizing cues, like we talked about in a couple of podcasts ago about recognizing the physical cues, because we might not recognize it with the thought or even the fruit, but our body will not lie to us. And that's the first thing we will notice. And so if we're finding that we're carrying stress, like I'm having a hard time breathing, or I'm having to catch my, like really having heavy sighs, or I'm just revved up, my adrenals are on overdrive, I'm like, something's going on. The dash, my instrument panel of my car, so to speak, is going off. I need to pay attention. And that's where we've got to pull back and just say, okay, less is more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard because we can be involved with a lot of good things and we don't want to disappoint people. We don't want to let them down where we've given our commitment or whatever. But we've got to look at the body as a cue to say something's happening
Mm-hmm.
with my
100%.
emotions, with my heart.
Mm-hmm. 100%. So for me, I'll have shortness of breath. Anytime I have to do something that seems unfamiliar, a new skill that needs developed, something. So the last year with this app, I had a lot of shortness of breath, let me tell you. And when I'd catch myself, I'd be like, oh, I need to stop. But my impulse was to plow through.
Yes. Yes. Well, and that's a great point about confidence. Because if we're trying something new, we don't have the confidence yet. But God can give us that confidence, or Godfidence, some people call it, to where I know I'm not alone. He's with me. He's saying, this is the way, walk in it. And it's a step by step because it's relationship. It's not a formula. It's not a duty. It's not a slave mentality. It's a relationship. And he's our loving Father that wants to help us grow and mature and develop those gifts that he's deposited in us. And that's the beautiful exchange that we have to recognize of, okay, I get to partner with him versus striving to become or achieve. And that's where then we can have that, okay, I can take the deep breath and I can self-regulate and know that what I'm doing is good. I want to point something out too real quick that I have found, especially with not just myself, but with coaching women, a way that we can really help with having a healthy coping strategy. Um, two things: play and what gives you joy. Do something that gives you joy, and it doesn't even have to produce an outcome. Like, I love painting rocks, and I recognize I have not painted rocks in forever. But why do I want to do it? It's not so I can make money off it or give gifts or whatever. There's that creative expression that helps me slow down and tune in to what I need and use a different part of my brain that's not task oriented or rationalizing, and tap into something to where now I get to create something amazing. And then play, especially as women, as we age and become parents, even become a mom, we lose so much of our identity of ourself of playing. Like, what we used to do for play doesn't work now for us, right? And so those two things I have found really help with coming up with a new healthy coping strategy.
For me, it'd be grandchildren. I
Yeah.
spent the day with my grandchildren yesterday. I stepped away from everything and I just was a human being. And
Yeah.
sometimes that just seems to be what the doctor ordered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Instead
such
of
a
this
great question.
driving, accomplishing, forging ahead. It just seems to be the thing that allows me to breathe again. So when I'm running somewhere for comfort, I'm really not. I'm really running like I'm really driving myself somewhere unhealthy. I got to do more, be more, because I think that will give me what I want. And
Right.
that's not always true.
Yeah. And so that's where it's so important that we learn, one, the self-awareness, recognizing what we're telling ourselves, the story we're telling ourselves, the belief, why we're running to something or what we're running to or away from. And then how do we really connect with the Lord to have Him fill those desires? Not that we won't have
Yeah.
other people or places or do different things, but it's that connection out of relationship that He's the loving Father that cares for us.
Yeah. And so, like when I sit on my back porch with my cup of coffee, hanging out with Jesus, that's like a healthy form of comfort and connection.
Mine's my
Right?
dolphins in my backyard.
I know. I'm so jealous of them. Like she got dolphins in her backyard, guys. Like
Occasionally, they don't come every day, but
they come pretty often.
they do.
And then she sends me photos and videos. And I'm like, are you trying to rub it in my nose?
No, it's trying to get you to come down and stay and partake, to have a new happy place.
Yeah. Yeah, I could do that. I could have a new happy place. But my backyard, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
it's very
place where
serene. Yes.
it is. It's a place where
Tranquil.
I can like let go or dream.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that tranquil place. And that's where I'll also ask people, where is a place that you can experience peace? A lot of times it's water, being by a river or a lake, or just hearing nature, going for a walk in nature in a park or something. So,
Yeah. Okay, so we have about 30 seconds left.
yeah.
Laurie, again, I'll ask you to tell everybody how they can reach out to you.
Sure. My website is laurieksnyder.com. And I have a podcast called Created to Thrive podcast.
And guys, you can reach out to me at wholenessandpractice.com. We do have an app site. It's called getattuned.io. And you can go there and see what Get Attuned app is all about and when the release date is, because I'll be posting on that website 5 more days, 4 more days, 3 more days. Hey, it's out. So go there, go to the Google Play Store and go to the App Store. I'd appreciate your support.
Awesome. Can't wait for it.
Thanks for tuning in to Attuned for Wholeness. I hope you got the tune-up you needed today. Keep tuning in on the first and third Wednesday of every month at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time and 3:30 Central Time. on ttm.com for more conversations around caring for our emotional health and spiritual well-being. I'd like to invite you to consider becoming a resiliency coach to develop the skills that will help others heal and bounce back quicker from negative events. Or maybe you're someone who's looking for a holistic and spiritual path to move through anxiety and unresolved trauma. For both of these resources, visit my website at www.wholenessandpractice.com. And thank you for listening to Attuned for Wholeness on Transformation Talk Radio.